Good morning and welcome again. Today we will be studying about clay minerals. There are five types of clay minerals. Okay, elite, montimorillite, and montimorillite can also be called as smectite, and the third one is kaolinite. These three have one mode of formation, and the other two, chlorite and glauconite, have other mode of formation, but they have similarity in their composition and atomic structure. Okay, so these three have different mode of formation, and these two have different form of mode of formation, but these all are clay minerals because they show similarity in their composition and atomic structure, and all the three fives are hydrous aluminosilicates. Okay, and these clays are generally arranged in the form of tetrahedron and octahedron sandwiches. Now we're discussing about what is tetrahedron, how tetrahedron arrangement took place, or octahedron, both of them. So how tetrahedron structure is like aluminum and silicon. They are occupied at the center position, and they are surrounded by the four hydroxyl ion or oxygen ion. See this. This one is silicon or aluminum. Okay, center part, and it is surrounded by four oxygen या OH ion, hydroxyl ion. Okay, this type of a structure is known as tetrahedron, and if similarly, if silicon aluminum ion is replaced by aluminum iron and magnesium, and they act as a central cation and surrounded by 6 4 5 and 6 hydroxyl or oxygen ion. Similar here will be oxygen or hydroxyl ion. The arrangement is not actually like this because it exhibits 3D structure. So to explain how actually tetrahedron octahedron structure is, so this is how a structure took place. So in clay minerals you will see tetrahedron structure which is sandwiched by octahedron, again tetrahedron, octahedron. So a sandwich structure of tetrahedron and octahedron is there in the clay minerals, and this tetrahedron and octahedron, in between there is something. Okay, that is known as, this space is known as interlayer space, the space between tetrahedron and octahedron. Again there will be a next octahedron, again after this there will be next octahedron. Okay, so there is a space in between them which is known as interlayer space, and in that interlayer spaces something exists. Okay, this separates the boundary between the tetrahedron and octahedron. So what could be in the interlayer spaces? Next we will read that. So now we have five clay minerals: kaolinite, elite, smectite, which is also known as montimorillite, or next is chlorite and glauconite. So we will be studying separately each of them separately. So what is actually kaolinite is? Okay, so it's the simplest clay mineral in the structure. Okay, it has the simple structure. All of them are clay minerals, but the simplest structure exhibits in kaolinite. Okay, and they are the purest in composition. Okay, these things need to be remembered, that they are purest in compositions and they have the simplest clay mineral in structure. Okay, and the interlayer spaces, I have told you earlier, there must be something in the interlayer space that separates the two separates the tetrahedron and octahedron layer. So here the interlayer space is occupied by the hydrogen bond, and we all know hydrogen bond is strong. So the kaolinite will be stronger. And here you will see the ratio of tetrahedron and octahedron as 1:1, means there will be one tetrahedron layer and in between them there will be a hydrogen bond act which occur in interlayer spaces, and after there is single octahedron. Again this octahedron will be overlapped by the hydrogen bond, and again above that there will be our tetrahedron. Okay, and there will be again hydrogen bond and the octahedron, means only one tetrahedron and one octahedron form the sandwich. Okay, these are generally formed from the feldspar. I think I have taught you earlier about kaolinite, about residual deposit or something. I have taught you earlier the same thing. Okay, so the feldspar is responsible for the formation of kaolinite. The weathering and erosion of kaolinite produces the feldspar, and these feldspar from the hydrothermal alteration or by the superficial weathering. Okay, the feldspar from the hydrothermal alteration or from the superficial weathering the kaolinite form. ओके, तो ये जो हमारा कैल्विनाइट है ये फेल्डस्पार के वेदरिंग की वजह से बनता है, पहले भी हम पढ़ा चुके हैं. तो अब ये जो फेल्डस्पार हमारा हाइड्रोथर्मल अल्ट्रेशन की वजह से भी हो सकता है, और ये जो सुपरफिशियल वेदरिंग इसकी वजह से भी हमारा कैल्विनाइट का फॉर्मेशन हो सकता है. अब कैल्विनाइट जो है वो बनता है फेल्डस्पार से, तो देयर मस्ट बी सम रॉक which is feldspar which has high content of feldspar. So so granite and gneissic source are the important source which contain a large amount of feldspar. So weathering erosions of that granitic or granitoid rocks results in the formation of kaolinite. Okay, kaolinite, there are circumstances where only kaolinite, the weathering of feldspar produce kaolinite, and these only kaolinite is sufficiently abundant to form the pure clay stone. Okay, there is no need of other clay minerals. It may be light smectite, chloride, there may be not need of other of these clay minerals. Itself kaolinite is sufficient to form the clay minerals, and that clay minerals is is completely full of kaolinite. Okay, so that clay stone will be known as कायोलीन. ओके, मतलब कि हमारा फेल्डस्पार के वेदरिंग की वजह से हमारा कायोलिनाइट बना, तो कायोलिनाइट हमारा क्या है, क्ले मिनरल्स है. तो कोई क्ले स्टोन बना, क्ले मिनरल्स है वो स्टोन नहीं है, तो कोई हमारा क्ले स्टोन बना जिसमें सिर्फ और सिर्फ कायोलिनाइट ही है और कोई भी अदर क्ले मिनरल्स नहीं है हमारा. तो ऐसा क्ले स्टोन जो कि सिर्फ और सिर्फ कायोलिनाइट से बना हुआ है, तो वो हमारा हो जाएगा कायोलीन. और इसको कायोलीन को हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं, इसको हम लोग और बोलते हैं नोन एज पाइप क्ले, बॉल क्ले, चाइना क्ले, फायर क्ले. दीज ऑल आर कायोलिनाइट. ओके, कंप्लीट कायोलिनाइट. देयर इज नो अदर clay minerals. These all contain only kaolinite. Okay, and they are also known as pipe clay, ball clay, china clay, fire clay. These are the name. Remember the name. They may ask which of the following does not contain kaolin. Okay, so you may get confused with that. Okay, there is other rock which is known as tonstein. Okay, there is other rock which is also known as a tonstein. So this tonstein also compose of large amount of kaolinite, and they have the special features that they occur in association with the coal. Okay, these kaolinite occur in association with the coal of Carboniferous period. So such type of kaolinite that occur with the coal and have the Carboniferous age is known as tonstein. Okay, they are tough indurated, means they are hard rock. They are not easily friable, of course, because it has the hydrogen bond in between the interlayer spaces. Okay, so what is the thing to remember in that they have 1:1 ratio of tetrahedron and octahedron. And of course about this kaolin pipe clay. Of course, you about Tonstein, that's important. Last year I have seen questions regarding Tonstein. Okay, next one we will be dealing with elite. Elite has the ratio of 2:1, means there will be two layer of tetrahedron, interlayer space, octahedron, tetrahedron, octahedron. See, there is two tetrahedron and one octahedron. So this will make a sandwich. Tetrahedron, interlayer space, octahedron. See, so this is the configuration of elite. So K plus ion is in the interlayer spaces. So here you will find hydrogen ion, here you will find potassium ion in between the interlayer space. So potassium is also the interlayer space occur in potassium occur in interlayer space. So this is also strong. They are sometimes also referred as hydromica. Remember, the name is important. Remember that hydromica is elite. Potassium may either be present due to incomplete degradation of potash feldspar. So what about potassium? So in the decomposition or degradation of potash feldspar to kaolinite, there may be incomplete degradation. So actually the feldspar is converting to kaolinite because of weathering, high rate of weathering, but there may be incomplete degradation, due to which some potash ions may preserve and potassium may be present. Okay, or to diagenesis of kaolinite within a marine environment. So how potassium is present? The potassium is present because of incomplete degradation or in the diagenesis of marine environment. So marine environment, it may contain potassium ion, so potassium may be present in them. Okay, next, elite is the most abundant clay mineral in sediment. Okay, so this one is also important कि elite जो है वो हमारा क्या है, मोस्ट abundant clay mineral है. ठीक है, बट इट इज़ लेस ऑब्वियस दैन काओलिनाइट. अबंडेंट तो है लेकिन ये जनरली मिलता नहीं है. जनरली हमें मिलेगा क्या, काओलिनाइट देखने को मिलता है, बिकॉज इट्स सेल्डम प्रेजेंट इन द फॉर्म ऑफ क्रिस्टल, क्योंकि ये क्रिस्टल के फॉर्म में शायद ही कहीं देखने को मिलता है. ओके, मोस्ट अबंडेंट क्ले मिनरल्स इज इलाइट बट लेस ऑब्वियस है, लेकिन ये मिलता नहीं है. ओके, और इसकी वजह क्या है कि दे सेल्डम प्रेजेंट इन फॉर्म, मतलब क्रिस्टल के फॉर्म में ये कभी कभी देखने को मिलता है, जनरली नहीं मिलता है. द नेक्स्ट वन इज स्मेक्टाइट. सो स्मेक्टाइट, what will be the configuration? 2:1. So here 2 tetrahedron and 1 octahedron. Okay, similar to elite, they have the same configuration. Okay, the bond in between the interlayer spaces is oxygen bond, so it will be weak. Okay, the clay minerals, the clay stone formed from these clay minerals will be weak because the interlayer spaces are weak, and they are most expandables of the all clay. Okay, elite is most abundant, they are the simplest clay. These are the few points which are important. There is no need to learn all the things because actually they are not important, but you need to find what is important, what may be asked in exam, similar to that. At my extent I am pointing it out. There may be something I forgot to point out, but it's your duty to find. Okay, so here smectite, oxygen bond is in the interlayer spaces. The bond is also important. What will be the interlayer spaces in the case of elite, in the case of smectite, in the case of kaolinite? They may ask, so it is important. What will be the configuration? Okay, so now smectite is the expandables of all the clay. They are the most expandable clay and contract to absorb volumes. Okay, this one is expandables and they contract or absorb. When it will lose water, it will contract, and it will absorb water, it will expand. Okay, so most expandable of all clay. Now we have read earlier, the smectite is also known as montmorillonite. Okay, so montmorillonite contain water up to 20% as well as calcium and magnesium. So montmorillonite is a type of a smectite which contain 20% of water and as well as calcium and magnesium. So important thing for Montmorillonite is there is 20% of water and calcium magnesium. Now the other one is bentonite. Okay, so mud rock composed largely of smectite clay. If we found any mud rock which is composed of smectite clay, okay, so this one is known as bentonite. So here what is kaolin? A clay stone which is composed largely of kaolinite. What is bentonite? A mud rock which is largely composed of smectite clay. So see the difference. This is the things that you need to remember. It can be identified at outcrop by the powdery cauliflower like surface. So how we are going to identify them that it is bentonite? So a cauliflower like structure you will found. Okay, if possible I will show you in the figure. So it can be identified at the outcrop by the powdery cauliflower structure. So cauliflower structure, if you see, you may say that this is bentonite, and this bentonite will consist of large amount of smectite clay. Okay, bentonite formed by the alteration of volcanic ash in place. Okay, so how bentonite form? तो जो volcanic ash है हमारा, उसका क्या होगा? Alteration होगा, तो हमें bentonite मिलेगा. Okay, अब bentonite smectite clay है हमारा. It may occur as marine and continental. So this is going to occur in both environment, marine and continental environment. Okay, devitrification of detrital glass means devitrification means recrystallization. Okay, now the bentonite used in the rotatory drilling, the borehole, in which there is rotation, something like that. Okay, so bentonite clay is used in rotatory drilling. Why? Because when you bore a hole, so the water, the underground water which is present beneath it may seep through and fill the hole. So bentonite clay is used to seal that seepage of water. Okay, so now it's okay. Again, chlorite, similar to clay mineral. Okay, chlorite we have learned earlier that they have the different mode of formation. Which one? The chlorite and glauconite, they have the different mode of formation, but the atomic structure and the composition are similar to the clay minerals. Therefore they are grouped in the category of clay minerals. So chlorite, yes, this one is similar to clay minerals, and they show affinity with the mica minerals. They have the affinity with mica minerals group. Okay, and there is, what is the configuration again? 2:1. Okay, the interlayer space, okay, there will be interlayer spaces, and this interlayer space is occupied by the stable positively charged octahedral sheets of iron and magnesium. These chloride contain iron and magnesium ion as in the interlayer spacing. Okay, the chloride occur as an alteration product of lime. So the mica alters to form chloride. Okay, the alteration of mica, this one you may be knowing that alteration of mica leads to the formation of chloride and are common accessory detrital minerals in immature sands. So immature sands will consist of large amount of chloride. Okay, conversely, chloride replaces illite and other clay minerals at the point where diagenesis merge into the metamorphosis. So chloride, this chloride will replace illite. Okay, illite, what is illite? There is potassium ion in the interlayer spacing. Abundant of all clay minerals is illite. Okay, so this illite will be replaced by the chloride. Okay, when it will be replaced? When metamorphism took place. So whenever there is diagenesis taking place, so they will occur as chloride. Okay, and when the metamorphism start, this chloride replaces illite and other clay minerals. It's not only replacing elite, other clay minerals also replacing. Chloride is also replacing elite and other clay minerals. And okay, the next one uh, is okay, Gravax. Okay, Gravac. Chloride is also a major constituent of Gravac. Biotite, chloride, muscovite, everything occur in Gravax. Okay, so chloride also occur in Gravax. There is nothing more important in that. Okay, mode of formation. There is a need to know that there is a different mode of formation of chloride. It's not like all of them. The other one is glauconite. Glauconite has two mode of formation. Okay, glauconite occur in two ways. Actually, the term is applied pretty rounded green grains commonly seen in marine sediment. The glauconite term is used to a green grains, rounded green grains, which is generally seen in marine sediment. Okay, the term glauconite is used for that only. Okay, and especially to a particular mineral. So there are two things. If we found rounded green grains in marine sediment, we use the term glauconite. Next is a particular mineral. Okay, there is particular mineral which we call glauconite. Sorry. Okay. Unlike other clay minerals, they do not form by the hydrothermal or terrestrial weathering. Maximum, all of them occur by the formation of hydrothermal or terrestrial weathering. The weathering leads to the formation of them, but only glauconites will not form in that manner. Okay, there is another different mode of formation of glauconite. Okay, so this glauconite is found in both mud rock and sandstone. Okay, they occur in both mud rock and sandstone. If abundant in sand, okay, if this glauconite minerals is abundant in sand, these sands are known as green sands. Okay, and these types of green sands occur in the age of Cambrian. If sandstone contain glauconite, they are known as green sand glauconite, and these green sand glauconite occur in the age of Cambrian, very late age. Okay, so late Cretaceous and early Tertiary. So Cambrian, Cretaceous, and Tertiary. You will find these green sand glauconite having the age of Cambrian, Cretaceous, and Tertiary. These all are very old. Okay, there has been considerable debate both as to nature of the chemical reaction. So how these glauconite form actually? Okay, so there is considerable debate between the geologists that how it actually occurs. So it is hard to know how chemical reaction responsible for the glauconite formation. So what type of chemical reaction is responsible for the glauconite formation, and what are the other parameters, what are the parameters that control that reaction? So how this reaction took place, how that glauconite minerals are formed, these are a matter of debate, and there is a considerable debate in between the different scientists or geologists, whatever you say. So they are polygenetic in origin. They have found as they are polygenetic. There is single genesis has not been defined. Okay, geochemical evidence. Okay, geochemical evidence suggested that the glauconite formation by whatever process occurs in seawater at low temperature. So there is no as such explanation that how these chemical reaction took place or what are the parameters that control, but geochemical evidences suggested that these glauconites generally occur in seawater and at the low temperature. Okay, and an environment that is strongly oxidizing. So these three conditions are important. See, these are all the matter of debate, but the geochemical evidence suggest us that they occur in seawater at low temperature and in environment that is strongly oxidizing. सी वाटर में होगा, लो टेम्परेचर होगा और स्ट्रांगली ऑक्सीडाइजिंग कंडीशंस होगा है, तो इसमें मिलेगा ये. ओके, ऑप्टिमम डेट फॉर द glauconite genesis appears to between 50 to 100 millimeter, sorry, meter. Okay, so it is clear that they occur in continental shelf 50 meter or 100 meter. It can only occur in continental shelf area. Okay, so these are the conditions important for the glauconite. Okay, so this is about the clay minerals. Okay, so today we'll be dealing with conglomerate also. So previous classes we have read about the Greyback. So see, if any rocks, any fine grain rocks, okay, has no category, means they are not suitable or fitting in any of the rock section, so they are transferred simply to the Greyback. Means if there is no criteria, no as such criteria to define these rock, they are defined as Greyback. Similarly, a conglomerate, a coarse grain rock, see, so they are not going to be characterized or placed in a different category, suitable category, so they are named as conglomerate. Okay, there are two names you all have heard, conglomerate and breccia. These are simple definitions. No one is going to ask you in any of the exam. I think conglomerate is simply what conglomerate and breccia. There is simply a difference in their roundedness. If they are rounded, they are known as conglomerate, and if they are angular, shapeless, so they will be categorized in the breccia group. Okay, so let's start. Defined as rock composed of rounded to sub-rounded cobble. So you have read earlier cobble. What is the size of cobble? 256 to 64. This is the size of cobble. So the rocks greater than 64 millimeter size, they are going to form conglomerate, and these conglomerate, they may also form from the meteoric impact. And okay, these meteors may also form conglomerate. Okay, the tectonics and the sedimentary process, these all are responsible for the formation of conglomerate. Okay, now these nomenclature are important. They are going there will be one questions in every exam you will see from simply conglomerate. Okay, the conglomerate, on the basis of composition, we will be defining first. So first composition is volcanoclastic. Okay, these, the term itself defines कि these जो grain size है, that comes from the volcano. The volcanic eruption gives the grain size greater than or equal to cobble. So this is going to form conglomerate. So it will be volcanoclastic conglomerate. Okay, this one is also known as agglomerate. Okay, the next one is carbonate. The grains of carbonate will be of size of cobble or greater than that. So this will be carbonate conglomerate, or you can also call it calcirudites. Remember the names are important. Calciridite, one asks what is calciridite. Okay, these are carbonate conglomerate. Okay, again the third one is terrigenous conglomerate, matlab terrestrial rock fragment which have this the size. Okay, so this is also known as silicirudites. Okay, they may ask you what is the composition of silicirudites. Okay, they will give you volcanic clastic conglomerate, carbonate conglomerate, terrigenous conglomerate. You need to search the which one is the right option for the silicirudites. Okay, the next one is continental carbonate conglomerate are rare. Okay, what we are going to discuss about continental carbonate conglomerate, the conglomerate that is formed from the carbonate of continental origin. Okay, are rare because of their solubility in acid groundwater. Okay, so why they are rare? Because that carbonate present in them, they are easily soluble. Okay, the water, maybe precipitation or the groundwater, both are responsible for their weathering, erosions, and they are very easy to be eroded. So generally we will see the marine carbonate. Okay, the marine carbonate will be common. Continental carbonate conglomerate will not be usually seen. So the best known example is our the coral rock. The corals that we see, that is of calcium carbonate, and they have big sizes. So in future, or after tectonic subsidence or whatever the tectonics process, they may form conglomerate. Okay, and these conglomerates are of marine origin, not of continental origin. Border border bed that forms submarine scree around the reef front. So this is same. This coral rock will disintegrate and by the actions of gravity, mm, uh, they come down, and they form submarine scree, and these scree having the great size, and they may form the conglomerate of marine origin. Okay, so next we are going to classify them on the basis of texture. So first we have on the basis of composition, which is not much important, but you need to know everything. So the next one is texture. So the grain supported, this one is important. So if we found a conglomerate which is supported by the grains, okay, the mm, similar to the other sedimentary rock, there is also a grain, matrix, cement, and the void spaces. So here the pebbles act as a grains, okay, and the matrix. So the uh, matrix is here poorly sorted sand and clay. Okay, so we have a grains of pebble, grains of size of pebble, and they are surrounded by the matrix of sand and clay. Okay, and so what you see, let me explain that. Okay, so actually you have one framework in which you see a pebble size grains. Okay, these are the pebble size grains, and in which you will see, okay, there may be something like that. Okay, these all are pebbles. Think these all are pebbles, and the void spaces in between them is filled by the sand. Okay, so what you see here, that these grains are connected to each other here. Okay, you will see these grains are connected to each other, and another one you will see, none of them are interconnected. They are also spaces, these spaces are filled by the matrix. Okay, so these are grain supported, means the framework is supported by these grains, but here frameworks is not supported by these grains because they are not in contact with them. So if they are in contact with them, they are known as grain supported, and if they are not in contact with them, they are known as mud supported. This is the simple definitions. So in first case, okay, in grain supported, you will see the matrix is filled. Okay, the matrix is matrix m the pore spaces, or the remaining spaces, these spaces are filled by the poorly sorted sand and clay grains. So example is fluvial conglomerate. Okay, so fluvial में जो हमारा conglomerate होगा उसमें these types of grain supported matrix could be seen, but in mud supported, so this another one important term you will see here, diamictite. Okay, these generally are of glacial origin. See, diamictite, if you find, you will see simply these are of glacial origin. Okay, if a mud or sand matrix is so abundant, so here the matrix is so abundant, matrix is abundant than the crust itself, so no grains are in contact with each other. Okay, so that the clast in rhyodites or gravelly sediment do not form a supporting matrix. Okay, similar things you have seen here, that these matrix are so abundant that these clast will not act as a framework. Here the matrix are abundant but not that much. Here the grains act as a framework. Okay, so this type of mud supported conglomerate you will find in mud flow of subaerial. ओके, सब एरियल इन्वायरमेंट में जो मड फ्लो होगा वहाँ ये देखने को मिल सकता है, या सबमरीन इन्वायरमेंट में. तो सबमरीन में यू विल सी द फ्लक्सो टर्बिडाइट्स. ओके, these grain supported you will find in fluvial conglomerate, fluvial environment, and these mud supported you will find in glacial environment as well as submarine or subaerial mud flow environment. Okay, glacial is more important. The next one, on the basis of composition of pebbles. Okay, now the enclosing grains. Okay, now we will discussing about these grains. Okay, first we will discuss about the which one, the composition. Okay, the composition of the grains. What will be the composition of these individuals grains? Okay, what will be the composition of these individual grains? Second, we have discussed what is in between them, what is the nature of these and this. Are they in contact with them, are they are separated apart? Next, we are going to classify on the basis of individual, what is the composition of this pebble, what is the composition of this one, this one, this one, what will be the composition. On the basis of, we are going to define or we are going to classify the conglomerate. The next is polymictic. Name itself is poly, means these जो composed of pebbles of more than one type of rock. Okay, so these pebbles having the size, having the composition of different, these pebbles of different origin, this pebble of different origin, all are different, all. Okay, these pebbles of granite, these of basalt, these of rhyolite, these of andesite, these of syenite, these may be different, so they are polymictic conglomerate. The another one is oligomictic. So what will we see? You will see the conglomerate. So these are granite pebbles, granite pebble, granite. Okay, syenite. Okay, so one type of rock you will see. Okay, so this is the classification, polymictic or oligomictic. Remember the term. You here in this conglomerate you need to remember the terminology. What is polymictic, what is diamictite. So polymictite, diamictite, you may confuse in between them, what they sound similar. Okay, oligomictic, polymictic, diamictite. So remember about this. The next one, now the source of pebbles, from where these pebbles has come from. Are these pebbles transported from here, or these pebbles from here and the conglomerate form itself here? Okay, so on the basis of their, on the source, from where these pebbles came from. Okay, the first one is extra formational, or we can call it exotic or extra formational conglomerate. So name itself is clear that these pebbles have originated from the outside. Okay, they have formed outside and came to the basin by the process of transportation, and there they form conglomerate. Okay, so next one is intraformational. This one occur at the place, and there itself it weather to form pebbles, and in that basin only, I don't know where they come from. Okay, so this one erode, disintegrate, form the size of pebble, and they form conglomerate in that sedimentary basin itself. So these are intraformational, contains pebble that originate within the depositional basin. Okay, these depositional basin they occur in the same depositional basins. So this is how intraformational conglomerate form. The next one is interformational sand conglomerate are rare. So why they are rare? Because unconsolidated sand lacks cohesion and disaggregates on erosion. So what is the reason? So in the basin where they are formed, so it consists of unconsolidated sand. Okay, and the unconsolidated sand lacks cohesion, so it will easily disintegrate. So it easily disaggregates on erosion, and no conglomerate of such intraformational origin are preserved, only because of unconsolidated sand grains. Okay, so the mud intraformational conglomerate are commonly called shale flake. So the another term you see here, mud intraformational. Okay, so these are also called as shale flake or shale pellets conglomerate. See here, shale pellets or shale pellets conglomerate. The way intraformational conglomerate have formed. Okay, so here the matrix, the sand act as matrix. Here in mud intraformational conglomerate you will see mud as a matrix. So these are the difference in intra. So what you need to remember is, if you found a intraformational conglomerate, okay, and if there is uh, uh, mud, okay, the mud as a matrix you will call as mud intraformational conglomerate or shale flake or shale pellet. Okay, and if you will found a conglomerate having matrix, okay, having matrix as a, oh sorry, having sand as a matrix, you will found sand interformational conglomerate. Okay, there is only difference of matrix. So what is the matrix? If there is sand, the sand interformational conglomerate, and if there is mud, mud interformational conglomerate, and there is name for the mud interformational conglomerate, they are known as shale flake or shale pellet conglomerate. So remember, these names are important. Only in conglomerate there is terminology which is so confusing. Or okay, the open work conglomerate. Okay, so there is another conglomerate known as open work conglomerate, and what is that? So there is no matrix. Okay, so the conglomerate which is devoid of matrix. So if you found a conglomerate which is devoid of matrix, so these are known as open work conglomerate. So these have asked in exam, maybe in yours. Okay, matrix. So if you talk about a general matrix of conglomerate, not especially about open work or intraformation or extra formation, in general it can be anything. Okay, matrix can be anything. So there is broad range of matrix for the conglomerate. Okay, you can also see that, you can also think there may be sand, mud, carbonate, okay, detrital fragments, any things can occur as a matrix. Though now what about classed shapes and orientations? This I will show you in the figure. Okay, so the sedimentary structure, okay, though they are generally massive structureless. Okay, the conglomerate is structureless because they are very much big, and it's hard to preserve any structures in that condition. Okay, they are tabular, trough cross beddings are generally present, and they always show grading. Okay, so these are few structures you will found in conglomerate. Okay, I will show some of the structures, some of the figures. uh, so wait. Okay, now see this. What is this? So this is conglomerate. Okay, so now which type of conglomerate, in which group we are going to place them? Okay, so this is supported, grain supported or mud supported. So this one is mud supported. Why mud supported? uh, can you see two grains are in contact with each other? No, there is a huge band of matrix in between them. So these conglomerate are generally mud supported. And now we are going to see the grain supported. See, these grains are in contact with them. Okay, see, you could see clearly, you could see these grains are in contact with them. Okay, so these are known as grain supported conglomerate. Now you see about polymictic. Polymictic is the pebbles of different origin. They may be of metamorphic, igneous, sedimentary, or the pebbles can be of more than one rock. Okay, so you will see this is in between the metamorphic, igneous and conglomerate. Okay, so it can be sedimentary, one rock of sedimentary, one of metamorphic, one rock of igneous, or different rock of sedimentary, or different rock of metamorphic, or different rock of igneous. It can be anything. So this comes under the category of polymictic conglomerate. Now try to see the imbrication or the grain orientation. You will see that all grains are oriented similarly like this. Okay, once these all grains are haphazardly oriented, some maybe this one any direction, they can be in any direction. Okay, now due to uh, the transportation direction or the direction provided, see, this is the direction provided by the stream. So these all grains, pebble grains, they are arranged in this manner. Not clearly this or not clearly this, but this is in between this angle. Okay, the direction is this, and the grains are oriented approximate grains. All grains are not oriented in this direction. Okay, some may be like this one, some maybe that maximum grains are oriented in this direction. Okay, maximum grains you could see in this direction. So this is the orientation you could see here. Now earlier I have discussed about the sedimentary structures found in the conglomerate. So they show trough cross bedding. Okay, so you see this one is straight, this one is straight, and you will see this as inclined. So this is the trough cross bedding. Okay, so the conglomerate shows trough cross bedding. You have seen the pictures. Okay, so now nothing left in conglomerate. I have explained all the possible concept. So it's your duty to revise around and again. It's completely yours. So next class, so from today, uh, allochthonous sediment we have completed. Okay, from next class we are going to study the autochthonous sediments. Okay, allochthonous sediments we have completed the important parts of them. Now autochthonous, and then we will be dealing with sedimentary structures, sedimentary basins. Okay, so for thank you for today. So we will be meeting in next class. So thank you.